Today I'm going to talk to you about beading. Hi, I'm Jamieson-Hirst of Chatterbox Quilts, and today I want to talk about how to attach a string of beads or pearls to a garment, a quilt, whatever you want to attach it to, using a domestic sewing machine. So I'm going to be using the Janome CM17. And there are 2 feet that you can get to attach these string of beads or string of pearls. I'm using a string of pearls. And there is a beading foot that is narrow. You can see here, beading foot, narrow groove, and a beading foot that has a wide groove. All right, now there are different beading feet depending on your Janome sewing machine model. So check with your local retailer to make sure you get the correct one to use on your machine. And let's take a look and see what the difference is with these feet. So I've got the 2 of them here. The narrow one is called the L1 foot and the wide one's called the L2 foot. So you can see the difference just in the size of them. But the real difference comes in the groove that's on the bottom of the foot. So let's take a look at that. So the L1 foot, this is the groove you see here. So this is like a part that's cut out, so it will accommodate the string of beads or pearls that you're putting through there. So this foot will take beads that are up to 2 millimeters in size. And then the L2 foot, the bigger one, has a much wider groove, as you can see. That will take beads that are 2.5 to 4 millimeters in size. So today, for the pearls that I'm going to be playing with, I'm going to be using that wider grooved foot, or the beading foot wide groove, as it's called. So let me get that on the machine, and then I can show you how we are going to work with this foot and how to set up your machine. You'll go to the sewing application mode, and you'll notice that there's this plus and a foot icon. You're going to click on that, and you can see beading is actually the first one. And there's 2 types of beading feet. One is the L1, that's the narrow one that automatically selects, and the other one is the wide one, that's the L2. So the difference in them is the groove that's in the middle, so the wide one can handle wider beads. And of course you have your default settings, as you can see down here, as far as the width of the stitch. It's really a zigzag stitch, and the length. And you can see they're the same for both narrow and wide, but you're probably going to have to make some adjustments, so keep that in mind. I mentioned in setting up your machine that you could make some adjustments to the width and the length of the stitch, as you normally can do, right? And I've already been playing around with this particular string of pearls, and I know that I need to change the default settings for sure, or I'm going to hit one of the pearls and maybe break a needle. Ask me how I know. So I've actually changed, and my width is now 5 and my length is 3, and that's going to be a little bit wider and a little bit longer than I need, but that's perfectly fine. Better than the opposite, right? So I'm also using, I should tell you about my thread a little bit here. I'm using a polyester thread, and I'm using a white thread because that's going to match the pearls that I'm putting on in this particular case. So what I like to do, I lift up my foot here. I've got my pearls on a quilt sandwich, okay? And I will probably start a pearl or 2 in, all right? I can always snip those extra ones off afterwards, but I find it, you want to get the pearls in the foot, and it works better if you have a little bit excess on the end, as it were. And I don't just start stitching using my pressure foot, all right? Because if I haven't made the correct adjustments to width and length, I may, remember, hit the pearl and break a needle. So I like to use my hand wheel, or on the CM17 I've got a little thumb wheel, which I love to use. So I'm using that, and I'm just putting it down, making sure that it's falling outside of the pearl, or outside of perhaps might be the thread that's joining the pearls together. And it will take a few stitches first. I know this seems tedious, right? But believe me, it's the way to go when you first start. Okay, so it will take some locking stitches. I think this is the last one, and then it's going to go over. Okay, so at this point in time, I can look and see, is it over far enough? Because when it's coming down, is it going to hit a pearl? No, it's going on the other side. Now, you might find that the needle nudges the pearl a little bit. The pearls will move back and forth slightly, and that's fine. And again, just once I make sure that it's going back and forth and it's working okay, then I can start, and I do stitch slowly, but I can start using my presser foot. And that's probably even a little faster than I want to go. So we're going to go back down here. There we go. So I can see what's happening. All right, so when I'm done, I can just lock my stitches. Cut my thread, and then I like to lift up my presser foot a little bit higher. So you can see I'm going over a little bit, not very drastically, but a little bit over there. I'm just starting to come back on the other side. But it puts them down really well, actually. So they're very secure in there. You can see a little bit of the white thread on the background fabric, a little bit, but not very much. And like I said, if I wanted to snip off, I just have one here. If I wanted to snip that off, I could just take some little snips and cut the thread and take that off. But it looks pretty good and nice and secure. So you can decide if you want to get both of the beading feet or if you just want to get one. And depending on the model you have, sometimes both of them come in one set. So very helpful to use to put these string of pearls or string of beads onto whatever you may want to embellish. And it works really well. So I hope you'll give it a try on your Janome sewing machine and let me know how it goes. Now, if you're wondering what else you can do to embellish with your Janome sewing machine, and that would be using decorative stitches, don't worry, I got you covered. Check out this video that has all the information that you need. And for more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.